Hi, I'm Odd, and welcome to the second episode of the Burgundian Saga. Let's first take a look at what happened last time, so you won't be completely lost. New guy. A little epilepsy warning, just in case. There, you got it? I am so sorry if it was a bit too fast for you to follow, but you could always watch the first episode in the speed it was intended to be enjoyed in. Oh, would you look at that? It's a handy little link right up there in the upper right corner of the screen, which will take you straight to the first episode. Go ahead and click it if you are confused about what the hell is going on. Now, as this is out of the way, let's continue where we left off the last time. The last episode ended in the year 1522 to the declawing of the English lion and the vassalization of two Irish kingdoms, Thomond and Kildare. I also set up my first colonies in the Caribbean, which is something I didn't mention in the last episode, because let's be honest now, if you had dementia, you wouldn't remember to mention it either, so zip it, kiddo. Oh, it's that time already. The first war of the episode. In the year 1525, my wonderful Scottish allies declared war against Tyrone. No, not the guy. The Irish miner. No, not that type of miner. Jesus, this little nation. In the war, my Irish vassals captured their only province and capital, Tir Eogain. And you know what the Scots did? They white-pieced them. And you know what I did after that? I vassalized Tyrone, peacefully through diplomacy. The pen is mightier than the sword. The Scots could learn a few things from us Burgundians. Oh, by the way, during the war against Tyrone, I broke the Treaty of Tordesillas for the first time, which started the downward spiral of my papal relations. Admittedly, I had completely forgotten that my relations don't just deteriorate with the nation whose claimed land I colonize, it also worsens my papal relations. I'm talking about the Pope. In the year 1529, it finally happened. The Council of Trent. The Council of Trent was an attempt by the Catholic Church to curtail the Protestant Reformation in the 16th century. In EU4, it boils down to Catholic nations voting with their cardinals for either a harsh stance on the Reformation or a conciliatory one. The Curia controller gets to ultimately decide which options are picked, but the price of each option depends on which side has more support. If more Catholic nations support the harsh approach towards the Reformation, the harsh options will be cheaper for the Curia controller to enact. Because in this Burgundy game the harsh option got more support, the Curia controller, whoever it was at any given time, picked one conciliatory option and three harsh ones. Because of this, in this world, this was all a dream. And how's the Reformation doing, you might ask? It's actually doing pretty well. And yes, I'm actually planning to stay as Catholic even though the Pope hates me now after my colonial shenanigans, because when I'm one of the only Catholic nations left in the world, the Pope has no one else to turn to. Not even the hatred of the Holy See can stop me from having 7 cardinals and an ample supply of papal influence. In other words, in the end, I shall reign supreme. Though the Dutch would like to disagree with that, because they started their 20-year-long revolution in 1530. Every time they dared to try rebelling out of the glorious union of nations I was building, they were shown the true strength of unity. In the year 1531, I noticed that the English lion's claws had gotten a bit too long once again, so I chose to trim them a little bit. The trimming went absolutely splendidly, one might call it a slaughter, though I don't know how a nail trimming could turn into one. In the peace I annexed rest of English Ireland and these provinces here in the main island. My conquests did not go unnoticed though, because pretty much soon as I was done with my war against England, the Scots invaded them, which was completely and utterly dishonorable. They attacked a wounded man, for Christ's sake. I couldn't stomach being allied with such vile scum, so I dissolved my alliance with them. It took the Scots around 2 years to satisfy their sickening bloodlust. In the peace they took all these provinces, which one of them just happened to be part of the English Channel trade region. As we established in the last episode, that trade region happens to be the best one in the whole game. So, in the year 1540, I kindly told the Scots to fuck right off. But they were allied with the French, so this eviction turned into a huge war into which I dragged Austria with me. At the start of the war, I prioritized taking out the French, but it was, let's just say, complicated. Not because the French put up a strong resistance, it was because the French were rather hard to make accept my fair peace treaty, in which I gave these two provinces in Normandy to my vassal Alejandro. Luckily the Scottish front was considerably easier. Those wild beasts stood no chance against Burgundian honour and Irish lads. In the peace I kicked the Scots out of Ireland and took these provinces in the main island. All in all, this war was an astounding success. In 1550, I messed up while trimming the claws of the English lion, because this doesn't look like England anymore. Also, independent Cornwall. Wow! Nah, not for long though, I need more meat shields. In the year 1556, I decided to continue my quest to show the Scots how real civilized nations work, so I launched another mission to civilize them. My army, with the help of my Irish and Cornish vassals, completely overwhelmed the Scots at the beginning of the war, while the war in the French front was a bit more drawn out because of the various sieges I had to carry out. After I got enough war score against the French, I pieced them out of the war. This peace with the French brought an end to my quest to give my vassal Alejandro the whole of Normandy. I also took the first step to eliminating French influence from the British Isles by giving this province here to Cornwall. Soon as the peace was signed with the French, I made the Scots sign a peace treaty where I took these provinces here and a bucket load of ducats. In 1561 I realized that, oh yeah, the League War is a thing that tends to happen around these times, so as a good Catholic, I joined the Catholic League. And would you look at that, the League War is looking a bit lopsided already. The Protestants have both France and Russia on their side, and most of the HRE princes. Well, I'm sure that the good Catholics of this world, like Spain, will join the Catholic League any minute now. While we wait for them to join the League, let me put England, I mean Wales, out of its misery real quick. What a nice little peaceful war this is. Wait, what is that Bavarian flag doing down there? Oh shit. Now that's one lopsided League War. We are quite literally outnumbered 2-1. Kinda weird to be the one outnumbered for once. Well, I guess this is how it feels. Very bad, that is. Well, I'm off to hang myself. Watch and learn. Oh, it is not yet your time to leave this world. You have a war to win. Shit. I am being very serious when I say that this war is unwinnable. And it's not just because we are outnumbered 2-1. It is because AI Austria is the war leader for my side. And AI doesn't really know how to do the whole isolation strategy, in which you piece out the enemy's allies as soon as you can, usually after capturing their capital, to obviously reduce the amount of enemies you have to face. Now, because of the AI's incompetence, this war is going to be fought against an opponent who is going to be around the same strength throughout the whole war. Now, even though this war might be a bit unwinnable, I'm still going to try to do my best. I don't know if you have already noticed this, but my location in this war is very bad. My core territory is sandwiched between vile German heretics and the French demons, who dare to betray their fellow Catholics and join the Protestant League. Absolutely disgusting, France. Now, I have two options. Either I stand my ground and try to defend my provinces, or I go on the offensive. But as a wise and well-educated man, I have of course watched many StarCraft 2 games, and I know that offense is the best defense, so I attacked France. The offensive into France went extremely well. I managed to take control of almost all of France, but this was probably because my fellow league members were getting all the attention of the Protestant armies. My hope was that with this offensive France could be knocked out of the war, but alas, either Austria was unwilling to peace out France from the war, or somehow magically France was unwilling to accept peace offers while almost fully occupied. In 1569, as the Protestant League had completed their occupation of everyone else except me and Austria, they chose to put their full pressure on me. A large chunk of their armies started to siege my mainland European forts, while various other armies of theirs started liberating France. Though, to be honest, can you even consider it liberation when the people are forced to go back to living under a French government? I attempted to stop the Protestant forces from liberating southern France, but after winning multiple battles, my tired and weakened army was finally beaten back by sheer Russian numbers and the winter they brought with them. Only if I had more of those King Tiger type cannons, goddammit, I'm sure I would have won. After this failed attempt of mine to stop the Protestant advance, I was out of manpower, and all around me were familiar faces, and worn out places that were being occupied and quote-unquote liberated by various large Protestant armies. This is when I made the decision that this war was over for me. I couldn't make the Protestants accept my fair offers of peace, where I would lose 0 provinces, or in other words, nothing that matters, so I chose to send the remnants of my army to enjoy a well-earned vacation in Spain, where it would be safe from total annihilation. Just imagine for a second being one of these soldiers being sent to Spain. Sir, shouldn't we be defending our homes, our families, our faith, and our duke?
Nay, my good boy, we're here to defend you.
Huh.
Yes, you. So we can fight more wars soon as this war is over. So, my boy, whip out the fucking cover, stop complaining, and start drinking.
Yeah, that seems about right. While my army was enjoying its time in Spain and my mainland European holdings were being occupied, the Austrians kept on fighting. In the year 1573, France finally peaced out of the war, taking 1 province from me, which I didn't even realize for several hours. Quite amusingly, the French had been given almost all the occupations in my country, so the Protestants had to siege everything again. The people of Burgundy sure have to suffer this episode. At this point in the war, Austria and I were the only 2 remaining nations in the Catholic League. Now, if we take a quick look at the war score, you might notice something quite strange. We are actually winning. Now this is because the League War's war goal is to show superiority, which you do by winning battles, and when achieved, it gives your side a ticking war score. And guess who won the majority of battles, hence showing superiority? Us. Now because of this, even though we have quite literally lost the war, because we can no longer put up a fight, EU4 thinks we are actually winning. The only thing Austria needs to do now is to wait and not lose any battles, and when possible, sign a white peace for all of this suffering to be over. And so the League War came to an indecisive end. The war had raged for 9 years and seen the deaths of over 1.3 million soldiers and God knows how many civilians. I came out of the war surprisingly unscathed, having only lost a single province to the French. The war was technically a victory to us, because Bavaria was made to pay reparations to Austria, but in my honest opinion, having religious peace in the whole Roman Empire is good as, well, having a white peace. Now, before we move on, I want you to think for a second just how stupid this war was. Like, our side lost the war. We could no longer resist the Protestants, yet EU4 thinks that we won it, because, we showed superiority at the very beginning of the war. Like, this is fucking stupid, this is dumb. Like, I'm pretty sure we can all agree that this show superiority war goal is a bit daft. It's a tad bit daft, yeah? Yeah, this is stupid. But I want you to imagine for a few seconds if the real League War in our own world, the 30 Years' War, ended like it did here in EU4. I bet you didn't expect that now, did you? But this really is so silly, it feels like something aliens would do, not us humans. Oh well. Let's move on, let's continue now. Let's end this goddamn video. Soon as the peace began, the first thing I did was moving the remnants of my army to the British Isles, because I had some score to settle there. I didn't mention this during the whole League War part, but I eventually white-pieced England so I could fully focus on the League War. and it's now time to finish what I couldn't the last time. In the year 1576 I once again declared a war against England, but this time it would be the last time. I occupied English Wales pretty much instantaneously, but the English had moved their capital to Brazil, so I had to send an army all the way to South America to win the war, which was a tad bit annoying. In the peace I fully annexed them, including their South American holdings, which laid the foundation to my Brazilian colony. Soon as I was done with the English, I decided that it was finally time to bring an end to another mission of mine, the civilization of Scotland. The war was extremely easy, comparable to stealing candy from a child, because a child can't resist an armed robbery. In the peace I took all the provinces the Scots had left, including their Brazilian colonies. And so as my conquest of the British Isles, or as it is known in this world, the Burgundian Isles, came to an end, I had also managed to acquire a decently large colony in South America, aka Brazil, which from this point onwards was to be known as Penal Colony 1, for it housed a large amount of Brits and Scots. After all these events, it is finally time to end this episode. I hope you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe, all those things, and go check out my Twitch, if you wanna see the gameplay part of these videos being captured live. And link down to my Twitch channel, down in the description section, down in the description section below. Yeah, see you in around 3 weeks to a month on this channel. You can obviously see me sooner on my Twitch. Anyways, goodbye, bye bye.